we have an outsider that we have actually persuaded to come talk to us. And our presenter is a finance professional with over 30 years of experience in various sectors, including banking, oil and gas, and consulting. She is the current CEO of Threshold of Trust Nigeria Limited. That's a company that provides financial and business advisory services to clients. She's also the co-founder of Robot Brain Solid Foundation. That's a foundation that focuses on promoting sustainable education, mentoring, and skills acquisition for the less privileged in order to give them a better footing towards economic empowerment. Our presenter is a certified financial education instructor, a fellow of the CIBN, and also a fellow of Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. She is also an associate member of Women in Management, Business, and Public Service. That's WIMBIS. Talking about her passion, she has developed passion to help people achieve financial freedom and grow their wealth. This actually accounted for the reason why she created a platform called Finance Coach BK, which she uses to educate and offer financial literacy. Financial literacy support to help individuals grow their wealth and attain financial freedom. Our facilitator is married with 3 kids. Dear professional colleagues, please join me to welcome Mrs. Abimbola Komalafe, FCA. Madam, over to you, please.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Can you hear me loud and clear? I think my earpiece is not connected.
Okay, very clear, madam. Very clear.
Okay, thank you. Connected. Thank you very much, professional colleagues, for having me this morning. I recognize my sworn chairperson, Mrs. Nwamara. Thank you for joining the meeting this morning. Thank you so much, Mrs. Olawumi, the district chair, for inviting me. I don't take it for granted. Big thanks to all the EXCO as well and all professional colleagues, senior and junior in number. It's always a delight when I have to share what I'm passionate about, with people that I consider family, professional colleagues, family members, and also in my religious setting, they're my family members. I'm always excited. Ms. Olawumi says to me that I have 30 minutes. Madam, do you confirm 30 minutes?
Technical secretary, please take over.
Who is this?
Do you confirm I have 30 minutes?
Technical secretary, how long is madam supposed to? Okay.
20 minutes should be fine. 20 minutes.
20, okay, very good. That was good because I was working on 30, but that's very good. I would just quickly introduce the topic and then encourage us all to get more of what the whole financial literacy campaign that I'm carrying out, more about it online. The reason I asked for the time that I have is I wanted to just give a little bit of practical background to what we're talking about today and why I actually started the financial literacy campaign. I recognize Mr. Chips Onwunali. I think I see you online. He's a former colleague from my old workplace. Now, I've been a chartered accountant for over 30 years. I'm also a qualified banker, and I have a privilege of working in a bank for 10 years before I went to work for this oil and gas company for 20 years. So if you want to talk about who should know about money and what should be, how competent one should be with financial education, you would think that with an accounting background and with the kind of work that I've done, that I would be so on top of money. I like to say to people that I didn't lose money. I retired, semi-retired very well, comfortably in 2017. But looking back and understanding what I know now about financial literacy and financial education, I know that I could have invested better. I'm not worse off because I'm a very conservative person by nature. So I didn't suffer financial losses. But with financial education, if I had the financial education that I have now, while I was working for that oil and gas company. I would not be locking up my resources in just fixed deposits or maybe the easiest available property purchase around. I would have been more deliberate and more intentional. And that's the campaign that I brought to my professional colleagues this morning. I don't want us to take it for granted that, oh, what's she coming to talk about? After all, I'm an accountant. I'm saying that this morning, it's not about being professionally qualified as an accountant. 20 minutes, I'm going to share the slides with me later. And like I said, I have a website you can always read up. I will just browse quickly through the things that I want to call attention to today. They're not going to be new things that, they may not be entirely new things that we haven't, heard before, but, we would pay more attention when I share some of the things I want to put on the table. If we had more time, I would bring more practical examples on the table so that people can just come out of their comfort zone. But I don't have that time this morning. So quickly, I'm just going to say the focus on financial freedom. I like to say to people, I use myself as an example when I know it is comfortable to use myself as an example. I always say to people that financial freedom is not having a good job and having a fantastic job and hearing large and huge alerts in your account at the end of the month. Financial freedom is having enough money, to pay your living expenses for the rest of your life without being dependent on a job, without being dependent on anything that you're doing actively. I think I always say the easiest explanation is to say to people that financial freedom is when your money begins to work for you and you don't have to do any active job. When you earn enough passive income to meet all your expenses being your needs and your wants. Now, if you have financial freedom as a target, your decisions and your choices will be geared towards, doing things better, investing well, taking advantage of, effective tax planning and, making sure that your priorities are well set. So having said that, I'm putting it on the table for every one of us this morning that we need to pay attention to financial freedom. We need to look at ourselves every day, every morning, and say, am I earning enough passive income to deal with my expenses, my needs and my wants, even for now and into the future? We said we'll talk about retirement planning. So the focus should be on making sure that we earn more passive income, more than our active income. I want to be, financial freedom, I would say, is when every one of us around the call can decide to say, I don't want to work anymore. I don't want to run a business actively anymore. I want to sit on the sofa and all my needs, including what you want to spoil yourself with, will be met by your passive income. I would have to rush because of the time. Of course, we cannot achieve financial freedom without being financially fit. So when we're talking about financial freedom, we're saying that as accountants, as professionals, we need to focus on the things that will make us be financially fit. Some of the things are things that we take for granted because, we are, we can say that because we are experts. It's always, when I discuss with people, I ask them, we were taught budgeting and cash flow management and all of that, but how many of us actually do budget? How many of us actually use the budget? I spoke once and a gentleman was saying that budgets are not effective because, you always find yourself overrunning and everything. And I say, if you have a budget, then you can react to surprises better. You can manage your excesses better. You can manage impulsive spending and all of that. So I put that on the table this morning, financial fitness and financial freedom. Every one of us must focus on it. There's nothing wrong in trying to become the chief executive officer of your organization, but that is not financial freedom. It is not having a huge pay. It is being able to say that what your money is working for you and not you working for your money. Quickly, 3 things I like to put on the table every time I say people should focus on financial freedom. Excuse me. One of them is to be deliberate and intentional, okay? And I'm comfortable around the call this morning because I'm talking to enlightened people, I'm talking to professionals, so I can, share as much as possible using myself as an example. I wasn't deliberate, I wasn't intentional. I was earning well and I was locking up cash. That is not financial freedom. Financial freedom requires us to be deliberate and intentional. Like if you were not paying attention to the things that you should be doing around the call this morning, After this conversation, you begin to pay more attention. It's also important for you to get financial freedom. You need to be financially educated. Beyond going on all the professional trainings and the oil and gas company I was working for needed for their jobs to be done effectively and efficiently, I wasn't like looking out to understand money and understand, things around money as much as I'm doing now. There's also what I call the ESI model. We may not get to it because I have only 20 minutes, but in order for us to have financial freedom and grow our wealth the way, we should grow our wealth and to the level that the opportunities around us provide, we need to earn more. I wasn't focused on that also when I was working. I wasn't so much focused on that. Earn more, we have to save better, and we have to invest well. I was saving, but I wasn't investing well. I was also not focused on earning extra income. I was so fixated on, the fantastic job, so to say, that I thought I had, that even when I had an opportunity to get a license from the central bank to run a business, one of their, businesses, I felt insulted when my husband brought the opportunity to me. But I do thank God that, I have a persistent husband who insisted, and I got that license. I know how well that has worked for me from 2017 to date when I stopped being in full-time employment or been working for anyone. So those are the three things. If we don't even go through the slides, I want us to take that away this morning, that in order for us to achieve financial freedom, we need to be deliberate and intentional. It's not going to come and fall on our laps. We have to make choices, and we have to consider the consequences of all the choices. We shouldn't just, I say to people, we shouldn't just take decisions anyhow. I say to people that many people go through the traffic in Lagos to get to their workplaces without looking into the future. And we need to be very deliberate about getting financial freedom. We need to get financial education, and we need to apply the ESI model. Quickly, getting financial education, there are so many things that are involved. Financial literacy is one. Working with a finance coach and working with and having a financial mentor is very, very important. Somebody that can hold you accountable to, the financial targets or what you have said you will do. Mentoring is also very important when you're taking investment decisions. If you have 2 or 3 people in your life that you run your money choices through, the likelihood that you make a mistake will be very, very limited. I want to encourage every one of us around the call. Thank God for this kind of forum where we can rub minds and people can be, encouraged to come out of their comfort zones. I already told you I have a page. I have things that I share online. Some of them I research. I'm not the professor or anything, but I research and I put experiences from other people in articles. Now, nairametrics, I don't ever miss nairametrics. I follow them, like they say, hunch following someone who has a hunchback, I'm trying to interpret one Yoruba proverb like that. I follow nairametrics. They have so much to offer, and it's free, completely free. Instead of wasting so much time entertaining ourselves on social media, what I do these days is I follow as many pages as I can, and it's all because I want to learn. And I also say to people, I say to us around the call, because we are professionals who would have had opportunities to invest around. If you are an international investor, for example, you don't limit yourself to what is happening in Nigeria. I deliberately follow some pages, for example, because I want to know what is happening, because I don't know everything, and I don't want whatever I've put on the table as investment to be at risk. So quickly, the ESI model. If you're not anymore today, if you're like me today around the call, maybe a young professional who is just starting her job and is thinking, oh, this career in Mobile, this career in Chevron, this career in Access Bank, or MTN, oh, I want to be here and I want to grow and become the CEO. That's not bad. Become the CEO wherever you are, but understand that you have a capacity to earn more than you're earning right now. So enlarge your thinking, come out of your comfort zone. What can you do to earn more so that you get to the stage where you have so much money and the money then begins to work for you to achieve this financial freedom that we're talking about. Now, I talked about savings. It's very important. Some people will say my pay is not even enough for me to feed and all of that, but we just need to be deliberate and we need to push ourselves. And without savings, you can't invest. Of course, we know. I talked already about the investment. I was a very, very poor, shall I use the word investor? The bank executives were smiling home because they had targets to meet, and I would just lock up money and all of that. there's so much more that we can do with investment. Of course, I talked about the financial literacy. If you're educated, then you can make the best choice out of the options that you have. I like to also put on the table every time that we don't put all our eggs in the same basket. I know some people who earn so well and who got large payoff from their employers, and they ended up putting all in the same project. For example, an estate, I've been those that my followers have said to me, they've given me feedback in the past that I should refrain from calling names so that I don't get into legal trouble. But there are some estates that fell apart, and some individuals put all that they got out and they put it in the same estate. They didn't understand diversification. I wouldn't have made such a mistake in the past because, like I said, I've always been a conservative person. I just wasn't aggressive enough to take advantage of tax savings, for example, when people were doing additional voluntary contribution. And I was a very hard worker. I'm still a very hard worker. I'm not boasting. I'm the type that works so hard. So I was toiling, T-O-I-L, toiling for this organization, while other people who were financially educated were smiling to the bank. And it's also important for us to be patient. It's people that are not patient that fall into the trap of Ponzi schemes. And it's not about being ICAN certified. Many ICAN certified people have also fallen into this wrong trap. So we need to understand that, yes, we want to invest, we want to have financial freedom, we want to earn more, but we want to make sure that we don't lose our capital in the process. So I like to put the Japanese proverb on the table all the time that I talk. Money grows on the tree of patience. You build it gently, gradually. Now, to the second part of the conversation this morning, I hope I still have time preparing for retirement. This is very important because more and more, I see people that I mentor, that I talk about, that I talk to, come and I see that they don't have any plan. Maybe if my old organization wasn't an international one that cared so much and has and still has a good retirement plan for their staff, maybe I would have also have been very careless. Recently, I got a text from someone who said that a 53-year-old medical doctor suddenly wakes up and says, I'm 53 years and I have no retirement plan and I'm scared. You see, it's because he hasn't paid attention to it and nobody gave him the education that he needs to look forward. One thing I say to people, Chooks is around the corner, no matter your CEP, he knows what I'm talking about. No matter what the company has said you will become in your organization, retirement will happen. It will happen whether we like it or not. It will happen. What we need to focus on is this quote here by this Indian scholar who says, you will retire from work, but not from life. So if you're still working, I don't know people around the call, some may be in semi-retirement like me because I'm retired, but I'm still working. Some may just be starting their careers. We need to understand that whatever you're doing today, that day will come. And forget that the organization may say you've signed a form that you will retire at 55 or at 60. They can make you retire before then. And God forbid that life happens to you. God forbid that life happens to you, and for some reason, you cannot work physically anymore. And you have to cease working. Do you have a plan in place to take care of yourself, to make sure that your standard of living does not fall, to make sure that you can still live, like that proverb says, you retire from work, but you're not retiring from life. Now, of course, retirement is an English word. Everybody knows it. It means you're living active job, ceasing to work. I already said it can happen to anybody, anytime. Okay, so I want us to have it on our minds that we need to focus on it. We need to begin to plan our retirement ahead. Retirement planning involves many areas, but I'm focusing on the financial aspect this morning. Of course, you need to talk about your health and family requirements and all of that, but we're focusing on the money part today. Retirement planning, each and every one of us, if you already don't have, must now begin to make plans to understand what will happen to you in retirement. You need to begin to look at what your goal, where do you want to end up in retirement? Do you want to, because it's also okay. Some people will say, okay, I'll reduce my expenses, I'll reduce my trips, I'll reduce flying business class, I'll reduce wearing expensive clothes and all of that. But if you have a target that, in retirement, you still want to continue as you are right now, then you need to be deliberate and begin to take the right investment decisions and the right money choices to make sure that you get to the comfort zone, level that you want to have at retirement. Retirement planning, it is not our children, of course. I don't need to preach it to all of us. Everyone that has a child knows that if you tell your child that you want to continue to take care of them and the grandchildren, even now, they will tell you thank you. And it is not retirement. It's not waiting for your old man or your old woman to die and thinking that their money will be available for you. Things happen. I've seen stories, people that change will anyhow. So circumstances can change. It is not inheritance. It is also not having a good business on the side. Like I'm very thankful that I have that business, that I got that license for, but that is not retirement planning. It is also not Ponzi schemes. It is not microwave investment. Oh, I'm going to put this money down and then I will get so much return. It is also not black tax. It's not because you sent your brother's child to school or your niece or your nephew that take care of you. But what retirement planning involves is determining your income goals, like I said earlier on, what level do you want to be at, and the actions necessary to achieve these goals. Let me rush quickly. I already said this. So there are only two options for us. It's either we make hay while the sun shines by taking right decisions now, paying attention and focusing on what the future will bring to us, and then we end up not reducing our standard of living in retirement, or we just stay careless and ignorant. We play the ostrich. Oh, we pretend that we don't know retirement will happen, and then we find that there's a fall in standard of living when we retire. Quickly, when should I start planning? In the conversation already, I've said it. You should start planning for retirement even now. From day one. Not waiting till you're 50 or 55. Because if you wait till you're 50 or 45 or 48, then the pressure will be on you, and you would struggle more to build an income base that will make you live well in retirement than if you start early and you take into consideration your family requirements and all of that. I'm going to skip this because I don't have time. But what this was trying to explain, or is trying to explain, is that for different life cycle times, we have different things to focus on, and the earlier we start planning for retirement, the better, so that we can take into consideration the requirements for each of the different seasons of life. Quickly, I know that people around the call will be quite knowledgeable about the types of pension schemes that it can go into. But I find that when I talk to people, when I talk to business owners, small business owners, people who are not privileged to work for the multinationals who are putting retirement and putting pension schemes on the table, they don't know that they can begin to plan for their pensions by, going in and opening a micro pension account. So there are two ways: either the contributory pension scheme that they act as the multinationals and the big companies to do, where your company contributes 10%, minimum of 10% of your basic, and you contribute minimum of 8% of your salary. That is the normal one, the formal one. But there is the micro pension, where you can go to any PFA and say to them that you want to start your retirement savings account, and it does not have a minimum. So it's what we need to understand is that we don't need large sum of money to start that. I do know that employers are not, things are hard, and many employers are not, they're not remunerating the way they should so well, even for professionals. So, for people who may think that I'm not earning too much to begin to put money aside, the micro pension scheme is very good. You just put whatever you can on a regular basis, and then if you're smart enough to go through a PFA, that's not building up the pension savings yourself. They would ask you questions and help you invest it well and tell you all the rules and everything. So that's what I want to bring to the table this morning. Quickly, I want to talk about the actions we need to take. I'm just going to share this slide later. There's no time for practical examples because of the time allocated to me. So what we should take away from this conversation, after this conversation today, is decide when you want to retire. Look at your age and say, when do I want to stop working? No matter, even if you're 25 and you just qualified, you need to set the target and say, This is the time that I want to stop being anybody's employee. This is the time I want to stop running a business actively. And then set your financial targets and goals to go with that. At that age, where do you want to be? At that age, do you want to be in a tenanted apartment? At that age, do you want to move back to a very nice, cool area with fresh air and lots of trees? You have to think a lot of all of that so that you can take the right decisions. There's also a need to focus on multiple streams of income. I talked about that earlier on. And there's a need to start saving and investing right. Investing right and investing well is the whole chapter on its own. I also encourage people to review their financial circumstances right now. What is your net worth? What do you own? What don't you owe? What don't you own? What do you owe? And I didn't put any slide about debt and borrowing. You can also begin to say, how do I manage my debt level to make sure that I'm not, when I'm ready to retire, my gratuity is not going to be used to pay off a large loan. We must identify the money mistakes that we're making and begin to design remediation plans. How will I stop doing the things that are wrong? Put your house in order. I always say that. I have an article on my website that talked about my experience when my father died. It's very important to have a will. It's very important, very, very important. I also have examples of people that I mentor or that I one person that I mentored who did not fill the form that the company said fill about life insurance, and unfortunately passed on. Also, unfortunately, did not leave a will. So it's not, I've had a will since 2007, and there's no indication that because I had that will, I'm going to be called home. I will die when God says it's time. So there's no need to be afraid of having a will or setting up trust and all of that. There's also, we need to also begin to focus on our health and our relationships, because in retirement, of course, you need people around you and all of that. So let's make plans, let's pay forward, let's sacrifice right now and pay forward to living well in retirement. It's important, if you don't already have a pension fund administrator, to connect with one and open a retirement savings account as soon as possible. Have a conversation with an expert to help with retirement planning. This conversation we're having this morning is just to ginger us and make us ask more questions and bring us out of our comfort zone. You need to speak with a retirement planning expert. Most of the wealth management organizations have departments that handle that. They will look at your circumstances. That is if your organization is not doing that and it's something you want to do by yourself. You need to ask questions. I say to people, it's important to ask questions. Don't wait till when your organization says you should go. What are you entitled to? What is the organization doing on your behalf? The Pension Act says minimum of 10% by your employer. Excuse me, a minimum of 8% from your own pay. But what are they actually doing? And what are your terminal benefits and what conditions will entitle you to all this? What workplace benefits do you have? Have you filled the next of kin form? Have you, some organizations ask you to give evidence that you have a copy of your will at the probate and all of that. Have you filled the life insurance form? Why work so hard and have all of this not, all of this wasted? Permit me to use the word wasted. Okay, I will wrap up with this. Mistakes that we need to avoid. Procrastination. Don't wait till you're 55 or for 52 like that medical doctor. And then please, I don't know why I put this in here. Maybe because one of the people I mentored, or one of the people that I talked to, actually, this person is a mentor. Okay, two of them. There's also someone I mentor who says that they bought assets in someone's name. In December last year, when they were selling MTN shares, one of the people I mentor said she wanted to buy it in her brother's name. I tried as much as possible to explain to her why her brother-in-law's name, why she shouldn't. But because MTN staff were getting the shares at discounted rate, she decided to go and buy in someone's name. But it's a very big mistake. No matter what the so-called benefits are, don't buy assets in the name of another person. And then make sure that you avoid hanging assets. One of the people that mentors me calls it dead capital. All those gigantic houses in places where the rental income cannot even pay the electricity bill. It's also important that if you have property in even good locations, that you have good documentation for your assets and your property. Unclaimed dividends, it was in retirement that I started going from one registrar to the other to organize my stock portfolio. CSCS is, having a CSCS account is very simple. I think it's about 5,600 or so, but it's under 10,000 naira to have an account and have real-time access to it online. I think I will stop here. Let me just wrap up with this. I said it earlier on. We are retiring from work, but we will not retire from life. So let's focus on financial freedom and financial fitness to make sure that in retirement, the quality of our life, our lifestyle does not dwindle. At the end of the day, the goal is for us to have financial freedom now and in retirement. Thank you so much. I apologize if I was rushing as I speak. I was trying to make the most of 20 minutes. Ms. Olawumi.
Thank you very much. The technical secretary, take over for question and answers, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ma, for that insightful presentation. And I am sure that we all enjoy this presentation. So, and during the course of presentation, Ma, there are several highlights which I was able to actually note. You've been able to take us to the fact that we should allow our money to work for us, and then we should also make sure we earn more of a passive income over active income. But we shouldn't we shouldn't take savings to be investing. Savings should not be mistaken for investing. And then you also put us through on how to be financially independent. We should be deliberate and intentional. We should get financial education and also apply the EFI model, that is earn more, save better, and then also invest well. And then you also mentioned that a number of pages that we can actually follow online for to get more of financial information. That you mentioned Nairametrics, you mentioned Finance Coach today, and also MoneyWise International. And you also talked about planning for life after retirement. You took us through the financial and the non-financial aspect of it, and investing, taking up a micro pension, and other, also watching over our health as well. So thank you so much for the wonderful presentation, ma'am. And before we take questions, probably I should be the first to actually seek for one or more clarification in terms of the pension, ma'am. You actually advise that we should pick up a pension plan. And how do we ensure that the risk the risk that actually affect the risk of volatility in what we get in return for pension? Because if we look at the inflation rate for now, it's around 19%. So we would want to get more clarity on that today, whether the return from the pension actually takes cognizance of the inflation. Because I know of some of the civil servants that retired, and in 2005 they were still earning as far back as 1970 is what they still earn today. So does the current pension plan actually allow for inflationary return? Thank you, ma'am. Before we take other questions from others as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. I hear that question. I get that question a lot, and I understand where you're coming from. If you put your money under the pillow, it's not going to affect the inflation rate. Inflation will still be inflation. The most that you can do is make sure that you deflate the impact of inflation. Now, whilst it's important, sorry that I'm going to have to use this example, but I do know somebody who said that one property in a particular place is for health to deal with health issues in retirement. Another property is to deal with this and all of that. So mentally, she's doing her own retirement planning. But you see, the thing that the professionals do for you, it is their business to make sure that your money is invested in the best available investment outlets and options. And they do recognize that inflation will come in, and to the best of their ability and what is possible, all that will be factored in. One thing that I didn't say while I was talking is that if you don't have a PFA already, if you don't have an RSA account already with any PFA, that you should make sure that whichever one, I would expect that all of them would have, online access where you can check your investments and where you can interact with them. But it's always good to go for the ones that are most professional, that will listen to you and talk to you, and that you have quick access to. So whilst I understand your concern, I'm not a pension expert, but I do know that in all circumstances, it's always important to work with people who are more knowledgeable and who have more professional experience with these matters. It's just like like even investing, even in the money market and even the capital market. While most of us around the call do have an understanding of the happenings in the capital market, sometimes if you are very smart, you still want to tap the brain of other professionals. So yes, inflation is there, and I won't say because of inflation that I'm not going to have a retirement plan. But again, that's why we say make sure that you have enough passive income. So in addition to your retirement plan, there are also other sources of income which, if you've been smart and you make hay while the sun is shining, then you already have enough of seemingly sufficient passive income to deal with your expenses in retirement. So there's nothing you and I don't know the name of the gentleman that asked the question, the manager in charge of technical training. I'm not sure there's anything you or myself can do about inflation, but there are things that you and I can do. I had to limit the slides. There are things that the external factors that you and I can't handle. We can't do anything about the exchange rate or the inflation, but we can be smart. We can take decisions that will hedge or deflate the impact of the fluctuations of the things that we can't do anything about. I don't know if I answered your question.
Absolutely, ma'am. Very well, ma'am. You did, ma'am. Thanks so much. My name is Olakunle. Thanks so much for that wonderful response.
Okay,
so I don't know.
Thank you, Mr. Olakunle.
I have one or two questions to ask, one or two clarifications. Questions, please. Do we have questions before we will let our presenter go? Do you have questions? Okay. In the absence of none, may I please call on Madam Ebele Egobiame to help us appreciate our presenter. Madam Ebele Egobiame. Okay, I think I can see someone's hand up. PCTA, please go ahead. You have the floor.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you very much. Thank you, PC Bimbo Komolafe. This is Tundu Aderibibe. I want to say thank you very much. Hi, Bimbo.
I saw your face already. You didn't put your
That's my boss there. Thank you so much. Still teaching. Thank you so much. So Bimbo, my question is, if one has left it till late and perhaps is in mid-40s to 50, what should be the first step right now that one should take? That's my question. So that one can start, a recovery process, even though, like you said,
a catch-up process. Yeah.
Yes.
It's okay. Your question is similar to the medical doctor's own. It's just that the medical doctor is 52. The Yoruba say that when you wake up is your morning. That's one thing that I've learned, since I took up this passion with financial education. It's when you wake up that is your morning, Tundu. What I would say to the person is exactly what I put on the table earlier on. Approach PFA as soon as possible, open an RSA account, and begin to save. And then begin to focus on the things that I put on the table, the ESI. Which ways can I earn more? When the gentleman, the medical doctor, somebody said he should go to Saudi and work for 5 years. Maybe that is if he has the Saudi opportunity. So you look around, what opportunities do you have to earn more right now? You're 40 or whatever age. Don't wait for just that paid employment. Like I gave the illustration. Don't look down on opportunities, to do a business on the side just because you're getting a large pay at the end of every month. There are opportunities, you know. I'm not going to make anybody sad around the call, but we all know what Naira is saying now. The people are beginning to look for how they can, what they can sell, what they can do to earn more, you know. And I said to people, if you don't know that you can do more than one job or that there are opportunities, you wake up every morning, take the bus from Yanokpaja, come to CMS, do your work and go back to Yanokpaja. 3 hours on traffic every day. But if you begin to think and say, what can I do? Like you're asking me now, Sundu, that person can, there's business, you know, the government has made business opportunities plenty for us because the government has inefficiencies in many areas. So there's so much, and it depends again, if it's a professional like us that you're talking about, what can I do? What can I do? Can I consult other than, you know, working for an employer? What can I do in my spare moments? I think Google will help, Sundu. I know you asked the question just because you want us to discuss it further. And thank you for asking. I know you very well. Thank you for asking.
Very funny. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. So, in the absence of further questions, please let me call on Madam Ebele.
Sorry if I stepped away.
BC Ebele, I think your network is
Yes, sorry if I stepped away. Yes. Yes, sorry. Can you Madam Ebele, we can't hear you, ma. Can you look for a better position?
I think I can save you people time. Mrs. Olawumi, it's okay. If it's just to say thank you, it's I should be the one thanking you for the opportunity to speak. It's okay because we can't hear her and your meeting is running.
Okay, on behalf of everybody, I also say a very big thank you to you. I really didn't expect less than what you have given. And I would like to say that I hope when we call you next time, you'll be willing to give us another lecture on something else.
Thank you so much, Ms. Olawumi. It's always a pleasure. And thank you. It's such a delight to see friends around the call. Honorable Chairperson of SWAN, all protocols observed. I thank you for the leadership of SWAN. And I'm always excited to see you joining this session. Some people will say they are big and they won't join us. Thank you so much, Ma. Chooks, good to see you. And
thank you.
Good to see you too. Thank you, Mr. Lakule, and all the other EXCO members. Thank you, everybody, for having me.
Thank you, Bimba. We'll get in touch, no doubt.
All right, Chooks, take care. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.